See your chair?
Recording audio.
Yay! Now you get to be the one that comes in the frame.
Hi.
Hello.
I know you're looking at my butt. Welcome to John's Joint.
You didn't turn on the fire.
The Sunday edition. Oh, I didn't turn on the fire. Should I turn on the fire? We'll get hot.
Yeah. Anyway. Sunday edition. Sunday.
It's actually Tuesday now edition.
Yeah, that's right.
4th of July. Pew, pew, pew. So, what are we talking about today?
Are you doing anything for 4th of July?
This is what happens when you get old.
You don't feel the need to do anything?
So, no, because we were doing stuff all weekend, but we were going to go downtown, because they had a big 4th of July, and Johnny Wad's down there, and the Cougars are down there. I was going to take some pictures and stuff. And then they said it's supposed to be 92, which if you've been in downtown Green Bay, that means like 100.
Mm-hmm.
And
I just really don't want to.
And like a 40% chance of rain. And I'm like, muggy, and that doesn't sound fun to me. So your mom and I, we spent all day here yesterday, but she's like, so we should at least go out to a bar or something, shouldn't we? Could get a red, white, and blue drink.
Then you can take a picture of that, and then you can be like, woo, and then come home.
So back to this welcome to John's Joint. And for all of you listeners, again, I implore you to reach out, send me a message, and say, hey, I'd like to be on John's Joint.
I would like to point out that you had your first special guest that wasn't me.
That's true.
You did.
That's true.
And it went very well.
And I'm working on a couple other people, actually 3 other people, but one of them I got to get Joe in there. I got to get just clips.
Even if it's good for advertising.
I don't want to use what really grinds my gears, because I don't think he wants to do that, but he goes, what really bugs me? And we were talking that needs a better clip than that, but anyways, so yeah, just hasn't progressed as quickly as I wanted it to, but here we are.
I told you before, I'm at 2 seasons with like 50 some episodes, and I'm still just doing it for fun. Be patient.
Yeah.
Takes time.
Does it?
You're at least doing videos. That's better. I mean, I'm just doing audio, so it doesn't really work.
Put your phone on the dash of your truck.
That's what we did. So what we have videos. Cheryl used them in the Facebook ones. We have videos of some of the podcasts, but just the app. Up until this year, the app that I was using didn't allow videos. It was just audio.
I need to say one more thing to our wonderful viewers and listeners. Again, I will implore you to shoot me a message and come on over, or I can come to you and talk to you. And I say that because don't ever think that what you do is too minimal to talk about, because I can't believe how many people in their everyday life, I just do this. It's kind of like me. I just buy stuff for a plant, but I could talk about it all day, and for somebody else listening, it could become very interesting. And I will correct you too.
Okay.
I had 2 people.
You had John.
John, yeah.
I forgot.
Yeah. And John really pointed something out to me too, is John, professional photographer, if you will. And he's like, I took him to a ball game. We went to see a ball game in town, and he goes, this, holding up his phone, is probably almost as good as any camera I have. And you're there, and it's on you. It's easily transportable. And so, and it has been. So.
But to your point, I'm on here every time, and I don't do anything but go work at a sausage factory. So, I mean,
I know.
Your job is not too minimal, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I could.
Then again, I'm your son, so I feel like I have like some sort, but like people still like me.
I hope they do.
No, I wanted to talk to you. I had a thought the other day, and
You had a thought.
I know me and you have talked about parts of this, but I want to talk to you about it anyway. Well, two things. I'll bring up the second one, but the movies.
Yeah.
Do movies hit you as good as they did before? And not like in an old age wise like way. I mean like the way movies are made. Is it is it as exciting for you now as it used to be?
I'm, listening to you, and I'm trying to go, okay, how are you going to answer this? Because because there's several ways you could go. Yeah, some of them. I mean, some of them are really good, but like I just told you, your mom and I watched whatever, and 20 minutes in, you're kind of going, and it's supposed to be a big blockbuster movie, and you, no. But what I was going to say is, when you were saying that question, I was going to go, maybe you have to wait another 10 years to make this statement, because usually if a movie sticks with you, you don't really, you could say like, hey, we watched this movie last night and yeah, it was a good movie. You might forget about it in a week, but then 10 years from now, you'll go, you remember in the Titanic when they were on the front? Top of the
Well, I was thinking about it because I have noticed, and not that I don't like superhero movies, because I do, but I've noticed since trying to think as far back, but I'm going to say at least the Avengers, definitely further back than that, but the Avengers is one that really sticks out in my head. That once the Avengers was such a big deal and big blockbuster and broke all the records and everybody went and got and seen it and blah, blah, blah. Since that point, I feel like the movie industry has moved more towards it's either this or bust. Like we're only going to put effort into movies we know are going to be at this level.
But you're not going to get an Oscar.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother story.
Until you complain about it on social media.
Yeah.
No, but I just noticed because one of the things I really like is I really like comedies. I have for a very long time. I like to laugh. I like good comedies. And I feel like in the last couple of years, easily 5 years, if not more, there's been a decline in good comedy.
I agree.
You get a couple here and there, but for the most part, like I remember, well, you would remember too. I remember Coming to America, Tommy Boy, the Blues Brothers.
Yeah.
Like every year, there was at least one good comedy that came out that has stood the test of time up until now. And then, but now I feel like there isn't a whole lot of it, and those that are kind of get overshadowed by the superhero movie.
Yeah.
Right? It's either superhero movie or you know what I mean.
I feel like they're regurgitating movies now.
The same thing. Mm-hmm.
Oh, this is the plot line, and this is what worked for us. So it's kind of like the Jennifer Lawrence movie. It's it's been done before. Mm-hmm. It's a cute movie, and it works. And on a scale of 1 to 10, you give it a 7.5, and it makes enough to cover the box up. So we're good, And it's like, no.
But the point I made, I was talking to Cheryl about this. The point I made with that is that there's no. Yes, I will go back to something I've said for a long time. Shakespeare said a long time ago, there's only 3 different types of storylines. You just kind of make it different every time. And it's worked. But the reason why people want to go to movies is because they want to see something that they've never seen before. The reason why cult classics happen, and I'll use Kevin Smith as an example. The reason why people liked Clerks is because it was different.
Correct.
It wasn't big budget. It wasn't, clean, if you will. You know what I mean? Like,
again, when you were talking, I was Pulp Fiction popped in my head.
Pulp Fiction too.
You go, ooh, but you watch it, and then now it's in your head.
Mm-hmm. It was something different. And I feel like either we've run out of something different, or movie studios aren't putting the effort into different, because they're like, well,
they're scared. I got to make money.
Yeah, I could take a chance. And I think I would venture to say, I think COVID kind of stressed that on movie studios, because they weren't able to put them in theaters. They weren't able to put them in theaters. They had to pay companies to put them on their streaming services.
Yep.
Granted, we had, which I thought was cool at the beginning. Now I'm like, I like going to theaters, but they had the watch it at home thing or whatever.
Yeah.
Where you're paying like $30 to watch it at home. But still, you didn't have to go
yeah.
to theaters. But I feel like that scared a lot of studios because now people got so used to that they don't want to go to the theaters, which
Yep.
is a big thing now, is that you're not making money in theaters anymore, which I think is really sad. Because me and you have talked about it. I think going to the
Theaters are an experience.
It's a different experience.
Yep, correct.
I think it makes some movies better seeing them in the
It
theaters
does.
than it does. But anyway,
This is because you're lazy that you want to sit.
but
I don't want to, and I'm going to charge $50 for popcorn and a soda too, where I can do that.
I got snacks at home anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think that because of that, studios got scared of we could put money into this that may or may not make us money, or we could put money into this that's guaranteed money, like superhero movies.
Yep.
Superhero movies are guaranteed money, depending on how
they're getting diluted a little, but
I agree. I think, and I said this about Zack Snyder with his Justice League, that he put so much money into that movie, and it's great. It's a 4-hour movie. It's
funny because there's a part of me that didn't want to watch it because, like you just said, it's 4 hours, but it's worth watching for 4 hours.
Well, that's what I said when I first watched it. Is that he put a lot of money in. There's a lot of fucking CGI and shit. It ain't cheap. But and it's 4 hours, so you're doubling your budget but it's worth it in that regard.
So hold on. So in that regard, though,
but you're not making your money back.
You need that here instead of at a theater. Way cool at a theater, but I gotta go to the bathroom. Can I pause it? Yep. And you can't. And 4 hours is a long time to sit.
Oh, I did an all day thing one time. That fucking sucked. We went and saw Iron Man 3. Or no, it wasn't Iron Man 3. No, it was Thor 2. But they had Iron Man in between it. And it was like, I think 12 hours or something like that.
12-hour Avenger Day.
Yeah, it was rough. Because they only have 30 minutes in between movies. So yeah, you can get up and go to the bathroom, but like you can't really do much anything. You know?
Check your phone. Nobody called. Get some more popcorn. Reload on soda.
Yeah, it was a long day. But I was thinking about it because, like you said, I agree. I don't think there's a lot of originality anymore. Like I don't really get excited. I don't know. I don't get excited like I used to, and that kind of makes me sad. Like I remember going to midnight showings for movies. Like not necessarily superhero movies either.
Unfortunately, there are. Excuse me for being racist. Mm-hmm. There's big fat white guys sitting at a desk that are looking at all these options and going, "Okay, my job is to make risk money assessment for the stakeholders," you know. And this, while it might be new and cute and everything and funny, I don't feel that this is going to make me money, us money. Mm-hmm. So I'm sorry, Zach. Your screenplay's not going to work for us.
I agree with that, but my argument to that. Not that I'm making an argument to fucking studios because they're not going to hear this, but my argument to that would be: nobody said, and I will use this as my example. Nobody said Avengers was going to make money. They had Jon Favreau, that was a first-time director. Well, basically a first-time director, who was an actor before that. Mm-hmm. They had Robert Downey Jr., who was blackballed by all of Hollywood at that point. And it was a superhero movie that hadn't been done before. It wasn't Superman, it wasn't Batman, and those were the only superhero movies that were allowed in studios. They were the big names. Nobody knew that movie was going to make anything. But my point being, if somebody would have looked at that, which they did, but they didn't care, looked at that and been like, nobody even knows who Iron Man is. Nobody's even going to do that. We wouldn't have the Marvel Universe as it stands right now. And I think that's so dumb for people to be like, that will never make money.
The old big fat white guy that I was talking about wasn't you who grew up on comic books.
True.
And they totally underestimated all these young people, I was going to say kids, but you're not a kid anymore. All these young people that grew up on comic books that go, what?
Finally.
Finally, yeah.
For sure.
So somebody should walk into his office, old fat white guy, smack him upside the head, and he go, you know what that was for.
I would love to be in the meeting. I would have, because it's long past. I would have loved to be in the meeting afterward. Because there was a meeting of like, you can have fun with your little project, I guess.
What just happened here?
What the fuck?
This blew up.
Yeah.
It's probably a one-time thing, though.
It won't happen
yeah,
again.
yeah, this ain't gonna happen again.
I told Cheryl, because I watched The Flash, and I really
I like the spaghetti scene.
I really
That really made sense to me.
really liked it. But I wasn't nitpicking, but in the back of my head, I was like, I would have done this different. I would have done certain things different. I would have done it, and not in a bad way, because like I said, the movie itself was really good.
Yeah.
But there was just the basis that they went on, which I kind of liked in the same regard too, is that it didn't go the way that I thought it was going to, because it was based off of Flashpoint, off of a comic book series where he goes back in time and the Bruce Wayne isn't alive, and it's his dad is Batman, and his dad actually kills people. It isn't just like Batman, where like he has a no killing policy.
Yeah.
His dad doesn't have that. He has a gun. Fucking, it's great. I love it so much. But that's kind of what it was loosely based off of. But they didn't go that route, and so that was kind of cool. I was like, oh, I wouldn't have done it this way, but like it's still cool.
Yeah.
But the thing that got me, and I told Cheryl this when we were leaving the theater, the thing that got me about that is how much shit that movie got. I just don't like. I understand the actor.
It wasn't. It wasn't.
But
it wasn't a phenomenal movie, but it was a good movie, and it had some really cool cameos, and it stood by itself. I think. So it didn't deserve all the shit that it got.
Well, but that's what I was telling Cheryl, because we went into it, and I was like, I got a lot of shit, so let's see. Like, and I was through the whole movie. I told Mom that as a standalone movie, it's fucking great.
Yeah.
If you're not looking for other shit, if you're just watching the movie for the movie and not like Marvel, where you're like, oh, does this connect to this? Does this? If you're just watching it, it's fucking great movie.
Wait, you're not Batman.
But
that made me laugh.
I knew it was coming. I told Cheryl, because she didn't. I told Cheryl when he first answered the phone, I was like,
that doesn't sound like.
That's not Michael Keaton.
Yeah.
And then I was in my head, as like he's talking in my head, I was like, there's only like 2 other Batmans on TV. And then.
Oh, are you doing the spoiler?
No, I'm not going to say.
Oh, okay.
No, but then he stepped out of the car, and I looked at Cheryl. I was like, but you know what that means? That means we get another character too. We get Robin.
Oh yeah.
But I don't know. I don't think, sadly, I don't think that movie did or is going to make enough for them to really keep going with that.
Yeah.
Which is sad, because I think that would have been funny.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I'm waiting for, and maybe it just turned July. Maybe you're going to see some good movies come out, summer blockbusters, if you will. That maybe something will come out that'll be decent. But
I just want.
I'm like you though. I want a really good comedy. I mean, The Three Amigos.
I do that all the time. I said, Cheryl loves it. Cheryl loves not that movie, but the Three Amigos as a whole, like the actual animated one.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's I feel like for people to really get, because like you said, the people that are making the decisions, the head people or whatever, they don't live with everybody else. They don't know what's funny.
They're not living in a trailer park.
Yeah, you know what I mean? That would be like somebody coming up to Dave Chappelle and being like, "That's not funny." Like you don't know what's funny. Shut up.
Yeah.
But but like the good comedies that I remember are movies that the actors or comedians themselves made or got approved, like Tommy Boy, David, and Black Sheep, and Coming to America, and stuff like that. Like
Go.
they all went from Saturday Night Live. Adam Sandler's a big fucking example. They all went from Saturday Night Live and was like, we're gonna make our own movie. It doesn't make money. It doesn't make money, and it ends up being great because they know.
Yeah, he's another good example of because I know and you don't.
Yeah, and I feel like if studios would start trusting, I feel like they're too scared to lose money, and I just don't like that.
Well, it is all about making money.
I understand you got an overhead. I understand that you got to run a business, but like as far as movie goes, I feel like, especially with like Netflix and like streaming, where it's constant, where there's constantly new things. I also think that that's a problem too. That gets in the way of people finding good movies.
True.
That
it's become diluted.
Yeah.
It's so I that bothers me too, is because we're home not a lot, but at night, during the week you're working, but you want to watch a good movie, and what's on TV isn't and so you want to watch a good 2-hour movie before you have to go to bed, and you go, what do you watch? And you don't know what to watch because there's a gazillion movies.
You spend 45 minutes.
I do that every night.
Trying to find a movie.
I do that. That's something that just irritates the hell out of me. And so your mom's like, what do you want to watch? I don't know. I keep going, no. And then how many streaming services do you have to buy? Oh, well, they just advertised this on Apple. Oh, now I got to buy Apple TV too.
Oh my God. It just happened to me. So well, you know this. I sit and watch wrestling with Wyatt in the morning. When we eat breakfast. But the streaming service where you can watch wrestling, you have to have a subscription to Hulu to run it through that. So not only do you have one that you're trying to watch something, but then it's tagged to another one that you need to watch it on this one.
Really?
Yeah. I just think I think they should all get together and have a bundle deal, like they have for ESPN and whatever with Disney.
Let's just watch Monday Night Raw or whatever.
It's not on the Monday. It's just it's old stuff. Now, see, that's why I like doing it, because it's the old stuff.
Oh.
Which also I'd like to talk to you about too, because that would be fun.
What, like Hulk Hogan and Macho Man Randy Savage?
Yeah. They had a whole thing.
Oh yeah.
They had a whole thing on Macho Man the other day.
We did. We watched all the documentaries on those too.
They have a new one, like the treasures or whatever. Where they go around and they find like stuff that people have given away or whatever.
Oh, I think I caught part of that too. Your mom watched. There was a documentary on gladiators. She said it sucked.
She said it sucked.
I went to bed. She goes, "Yeah, that wasn't worth watching." Anywho.
So the other thing I wanted to talk to you about, unless you want to keep talking about.
No, go ahead.
The other thing I wanted to talk to you about was the need for a quote real job. By the way, you can ask.
The need.
Yeah. So when you were and it's
podcast is not paying your bills, I'm telling you.
But it could, and that's the point. So your whole childhood, my whole childhood, we're all told get good grades, go to college, get a job. That's your life, right? I think I would venture to say there are still jobs that are out there that need to be done. Doctors and shit.
Doctors and shit.
But I would like your opinion on whether you think real jobs are necessary. Necessarily necessary.
So you told me this, and so I was kind of going, well, are you talking about jobs you need a college education for, or what kind of jobs? So do
you feel like you need a college degree to be sustainable, or that it's really necessary? And also, do you think that let's say you don't really need 7 or 8 people in a kitchen. You don't really need that, right?
Huh?
But that's still a job. So
Huh?
do you think that it's necessary to learn how to cook and whatever to be in a kitchen? Or like learn something else? A college degree is amazing. Because I personally don't think it's as important as it used to be. I think there was a time and place for
I
that.
think there are jobs. I think there was such an emphasis, what you just said when you started this was, go to high school and go to college and get a degree and you get a job. Well, I will emphasize how many of those college degrees are being worked for that actual degree. And unfortunately, society has been given this is the path you need to go on.
Mhm.
Now, I will say I've seen more in the last 10, 15 years to veer off that track. But prior to that, it was go to school, go to college, get a job. Whereas now there's a decent push to say not everybody's college material.
Mhm.
And I get that too. And there's a lot of facets to this too, though. So that doctoring thing, I think you need to go to college to become a doctor. But it depends on the individual,
Mhm.
what they want. So, as an example, I don't want to save the world. I don't want to, I don't want to be a doctor. I just want to make enough money for a comfortable life.
Mhm.
And I think I told you that story about my dad saying that there was a couple that worked at Oscar Mayer, and this is what now,
Yeah,
40,
that sat at home and
40, no, not that part, 40, 50, maybe 50 years ago now. But 50 years ago, between the two of them, they're making 120,000, and they didn't have any kids. And they bitched about working on the line
Mhm.
the whole time. But then when the weekend comes, they got so much money to do whatever they want, and that was awesome. And again, Monday you have to do the same thing again. But still, people like that I don't want to be a doctor. I don't want to be a rocket scientist. I just want to make enough money so the weekends are mine and I'm comfortable. I can go to Hawaii once or twice a year,
Mhm.
So what I was going to too is the trade schools
Mhm.
or what do you call it? What's it called? Apprenticeships. I think that would be huge if people would. I think you need to smack some guidance counselors upside the head.
I was telling Cheryl this, that I think I understand why they do it. I understand why they do the career assessment thing or whatever in high school,
Mhm.
because they're trying to get you to think past just being in high school. They're trying to get you to think about, oh, what do I actually want to? But those tests, I feel, fuck a lot of people up, because and I've said this to Cheryl, and um, I would, in a perfect world, I would like to think this is not on purpose. However, I feel like there are parts of it that are. Every woman on the planet, when they take, for the most part, when they take that test, gets 3 careers: nursing, care,
Police officer.
and a vet. Like anything, and it's a pigeonhole thing.
Yeah.
But I feel like when you're, if
You ain't got your shit together.
if you, well,
And somebody is telling you, some adult is telling you, this is your career path.
yeah,
Well, I wanted to be an artist.
yeah, and Cheryl has said that. But then you're still in that trying to figure it out. So you have this test that's supposedly supposed to tell you.
These people told
Yeah.
me it's supposed to
You
be.
have this test that tells you, well, you should be a veterinarian.
Huh?
When you want to be an artist,
Huh?
and you go, well, you're right. I got to be an adult. This is an adult job, so I guess I'll just work towards.
I got to move out of mom's basement, and I got
You're
to.
working towards a career that, yeah, to some degree you like, but it's not what you want to do.
Oh, yeah.
To where I feel like if you had more, even if you had a test, but especially guidance counselors for sure. I feel like if you had more guidance counselors that would push people in what they actually want to do,
Mhm.
you would have more variety of new things, which I think is lacking. But also, you would have people that are actually happy with the job that they have. Nobody wants. I shouldn't say nobody. most people do not want to work in a job every single day that they don't like. They do it because they got into somewhere or another. They got into a job.
They got stuck.
And they get stuck and they're not happy at that job. They don't like going to that job, but it makes them money and it sustains their life. And so they just go, well, I guess it's time to go to this job again. And I feel like schools are putting the effort in to molding children into what they want to be.
Yeah.
Like most people, the negativity, I remember that very clearly. The negativity in schools, and maybe it's gotten better. I don't know. I've been out of school a while, but I remember when anybody who said that they wanted to be an artist, I have a friend.
Well, you better count on being poor.
No, for real, teachers. And I had one art teacher that she wasn't like that, but she kind of was. She was a photographer, and there was this girl who I dropped out my sophomore, junior year, the end of my junior year. So 3 years, I took every art class you could take in high school. And this girl that was in every single one, like advanced everything, was in every single one and fucking phenomenal. Like that Banksy you have on your wall, fucking could do it freshman year.
Nice.
Blindfold, like
nice.
Phenomenal artist. Had her shit in the hallways every year. And I remember.
And this is in a little town of 3,000, by the way.
Yeah. And I remember her saying, because we had talked, we were joking about being out of high school or whatever. She had said it her freshman year. She had said that she wanted to be an artist. She wanted her own gallery and whatever. And everybody through high school told her that she couldn't do it. That you need to make money, you need to do this. There's no way you're going to make enough money. You would need to make X amount of paintings and sell them for X amount of dollars to even be sustainable as an artist. Blah, 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 whatever. But like I said, fucking phenomenal through all of high school. And then she got out. She worked at, I think Burger King, either Burger King or Hardee's, one of them. And ended up moving to Madison. And she went to get her first tattoo, and the tattoo artist was like, because she drew her tattoo, she's like, this is really good, like, did you find it somewhere? She goes, no, I drew it. He goes, you serious? She's like, yeah, I drew it myself. And ended up getting an apprenticeship and doing it, and fucking does phenomenal tattoos.
Nice.
But my point being, and she figured that out herself. It just happened to be a twist of fate sort of thing. And she moved down to Milwaukee. That's the girl I was telling you about. Moved down to Milwaukee because that's where all the big tattoo artists are, and is learning from everybody. But my point being, she was told in high school that she would never make money in art. And I feel like but she's making a living doing something that she really likes to do. And I feel like there needs to be more push into
follow your dreams.
Well, yeah, you can be realistic about it without being an asshole. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you can be like, well, if you want to do this, just know that
you have to work at Burger King, but just for the paycheck to pay your bills, but still focus on your dream. Stay focused on your dream.
And there's not a lot of school systems that do that. It's basically, and that was my point about the career test or whatever. Like I was told, not that it wouldn't be a fun job, but I took the career test and I only got one job. You're supposed to get 4. I only got 1, and that was pyrotechnic.
Oh, I thought you were going to say janitor at the school.
And here we are. No, but all I got was pyrotechnic, which is not like it wouldn't be
fire.
It wouldn't be cool, but like I remember bullshitting my way through that test, like 50 questions, and I was just like, whatever, because I didn't really want to do it.
You manipulate the test to say, this is what I want to do.
But like I don't know. I just feel like more people need encouragement on the things that they do, right or wrong.
I agree.
If you, like, obviously as a parent, you don't want your kid to live in your basement for fucking ever. But I feel like there should be more push on at least figuring it out, because there's the conversation me and you have had about how it's no longer a one person goes to work, the other one stays home household.
Yeah.
If that's the case, if both of you are going to be at a job, sometimes missing out on your actual family because both of you are working, it should at least be something you enjoy. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, it's just so depressing to me. And again, I'm not in the best job that I'm at right now, but there are things that I like about my job. But it's just so depressing having to go to a job every single day that you don't want to be there.
So I was talking to someone last weekend, and we were talking about jobs.
Mm.
And I'm not going to throw numbers like I did to this person, but I said,
But I could.
no. But I said, if you look at my life,
Mhm.
and you know the conversation I had with my brother-in-law, that if you want something, maybe you're probably going to have to move for it. And I said, and I did. And you've seen me go from Davenport to St. Louis to Des Moines to Davenport to Green Bay to Freeport to Beloit to back to here to Green Bay.
Mhm.
And I said, I would almost guarantee you that none of my kids would do that.
Mhm.
But I said, if I could explain to them, which probably wouldn't help either, the amount of money going from here to here to here,
Mhm.
that amount of money was so worth it.
Mhm.
And do I like what I do? I mean, it's not rocket science. It's not,
To you.
to me.
Not
And
rocket science to you.
I have the hobby on the side, if you will.
Mhm.
But I I can't tell you enough. And I've told you this a million times, is you should test the market. You should go out there and find what you want to do and go for that. I got to go to work. I got to pay the bills. I got rent to pay. Everybody has that, but still there's that side thing. And if this is it, and I know this is bad of me to say,
Mhm.
figure out how to monetize it.
Mhm.
And when you do, what do they
Push it.
say? What do they say? If you love what you do, you'll never have to work a day in your life.
I agree. I think, and me and you have talked about this on other podcasts before, but I think that luckily there are more people pushing that of I don't want to work a job.
I don't want to work anymore. I need a sugar daddy or sugar mama.
Pretty much, but I feel in a positive way. I feel like they're not all winners, but I feel like more people are pushing the boundary of what a stable job is,
Mhm.
where it's not the handful of jobs that you're never gonna worry about money ever again. That we've pushed the boundaries of what those are to now there are hundreds, thousands of ways to still have the life that you want, but not have to work on a line all the time.
Yeah.
And I'm just happy. I am encouraged that that has happened and people haven't snuffed out that.
Well, here's another thing for you to think about.
Mhm.
So I know a guy. Actually, I know, and that's why I implore people to come on this thing with me and explain their life. I had somebody refuse.
Explain why you do the
No. I had somebody that I should hit him up again to see, but he said no, I don't want to do that. And he's a good
podcast.
Yeah, and he's a good example of I worked for the man,
Mhm.
and I didn't like working for the man, so I started my own business
Mhm.
and grew his business. And there's so much freedom that he has with his own business and makes a lot of money at it too. And got screwed over in the process. And that's kind of why I wanted him to come on here, was he could tell you the highs and the lows, and he really got screwed over in the beginning. But it didn't deter him. He kept going on that this is what I want to do.
So why not? Why not want to do it?
Why what?
Why doesn't he want to do it?
What do you mean? Um, people and I don't want to say this in a negative way, that people are weird
Mm.
and they don't want to talk about themselves.
Mm. Because I would assume, and not, I mean,
Good morning.
not to say that like you can't have an opinion, but I don't know, just me, I guess. I don't see if that were to happen to me, I don't see the point in not like being public about it, like not saying something.
And I think you should,
what's the
because
worst that could happen? Like,
because
gonna
that's
happen.
another side of the story is you yourself don't like going to work every day, right?
Mhm.
Oh, me, put it in the fridge. Sorry. You don't like going to work any,
Mhm.
but what you need to do is, okay, I know I have to go to work. I know I have to pay the bills, but you really need to discipline yourself to go, I'm going to put $10, $20 a week, $50 a week, whatever you can afford.
Mhm.
And this is in the bank for when I want to make that jump to do whatever that is. I want to start my own skydiving business.
I don't think you could start your own skydiving.
I can't, but
You
no,
could fly a plane.
but that's what people need. And too many people bitch about it and don't do it,
Mhm.
myself included.
Mhm.
I got a little bit going on.
When your
I
son kicks you in the ass to do shit.
no, I entertain. No, I was talking about the Facebook stuff. I entertain how to grow it, and but again, I'm at a point where I'm very comfortable doing my job. It has great, and that's another thing too. So you know this. You work for somebody, you work for a company, and you have great benefits.
Mhm.
And when you don't, and you have your own business now, it's very expensive,
Mhm.
and that's a part of that too. And I'm sure he could have said that. He could have explained it, but again, I know a handful of people that are doing that, have their own, that said, screw this, I'm going to do what I want to do.
I understand the limits. Limit isn't the word that I want to say. The caution in doing it this way, but I feel like, and this is kind of what I was saying about the college degree thing, is that I feel like there should be more interviews, trials, whatever you want to call them, based on what you can do, and not if you have a degree in something.
Yeah.
And this is a bad example, but an example nonetheless. Let's say construction. You got somebody who doesn't have a degree in whatever engineering,
Mhm.
whatever, but has the brain for it. Who
Uh-huh.
can come in and be like, I would do this and put this here and whatever, but can do it. Why? Why wouldn't? And there are companies that do, but overall, that person is like, well, go get you a degree and come on back, and
Yeah.
we can hire you. Whereas I feel like it should be based on whether you have the brain for it. Like my job
Is
I can
babysitter.
I can teach people to do my job. It's not complicated. But
See, I think that
I
I think you sell yourself short. Hold on.
probably.
Because I think there's a big part of me that I think I could do that too. I
Mhm.
think I could take my job and say, Zach, come sit with me probably a few weeks, and you know what I do, and you could do what I do. And I am naive is a very big word. I am naive.
I'm wrong.
No, I am naive. Well, that's true. I am naive to think that anybody can do it.
Mhm.
And that's not necessarily true.
But but that being said, I do things because I've been in this company for a long time, because I've done pretty much every job in this company up until this point, that the way I do things as a supervisor, I'm able to see things before they happen because I've been there. I'm able to see, oh, well, this needs to get fixed, or I need to look at this, or I need to turn the temps down here, or I need to do, because I've been in all these areas. That being said, you hire somebody off the street that has a college degree for my position, they're not going to know shit about the company.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to know. They may have I don't know what you would call it, a manager degree, or what the fuck ever.
Yeah.
They may have that. They may have gone to schooling for it, but you put them in my position, they're not going to be able to do it the way that I do it, and I don't have shit for a degree.
Yep.
And so, and that's what I'm saying. I feel like there's still it's looked at as you need a college degree, but I feel like there's less and less you actually
Well,
need a degree.
I was going to say that in the beginning when we started talking about this. You know how many people have college degrees that are working at
that
McDonald's?
don't do shit with them.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, because they can't get a job. They can't find a job. And to go back to what I said to my brother-in-law said is maybe they could find a job if they wanted to work in Utah, but they're
But they
not
won't.
willing to go to Utah. So I mean, you limit yourself that way.
I don't know. I understand the thought process of not always chasing money. Because if you're always chasing money, you're never going to stop.
Yeah,
There's always somewhere you can get paid more. But
drug dealing.
but but also I agree with you. I feel like more people are afraid of that jump than the benefit that it would pay off for that jump.
Correct.
That I'm gonna have to, and I've heard people say it before, and not just with jobs, but for life things too. To where let's say you have, I don't know, you have kids somewhere else, or you have family somewhere else, and it would be a benefit if you were there. If you moved to another country, another state, whatever. But your anxiety or whatever you want to call it is like, I can't do that. I don't know anybody. I don't have a job over there. I don't have a place to live. Blah blah blah. Whatever. And I don't want to make that because that's scary. But if you were to do it, like the benefit of doing it, you can always find a job. You find a job, you get a place to live. You can always you know what I mean? Like all of it.
And again, still on the backside, you still
fill-
have your goal there that
Yeah, we'll fill in.
Hmm?
But it's that making the jump to do it that people are so scared of because they're so scared of losing some sort of stability.
So that I was telling you, I had a discussion this week with a couple people, and that was one of their big issues that I've already explained to you that I did that. I moved here, here. And they were very no risk. They've tried the risk thing, not moving, but they've had risk in their life
Mhm.
and it's failed 2 or 3 times and
So they gave up.
there's no risk ever again. And I was like, that's too bad because you can't expect, everything.
It would be really sad to not, and I understand the hesitation for people that don't like taking risks because it's scary. I get that. But like to some degree, you got to take some sort of risk. Like it's just boring.
Walking outside is a risk.
Yeah, taking a shower is a risk. Some people don't do that, but still. But
Especially in a thunderstorm.
I don't know. I just think that there are risks that it's good to take. Going back to the movie thing we were talking about. I think that there are good risks. I think that there are risks that have paid off, and there are things that people have taken risks on that wouldn't be the same. I use Kevin Smith as an example a lot because nobody thought that he was going to be anything.
Yep.
Like even he didn't. He put his money into Clerks and was like, and he'll say it in interviews. He thought that was his one and only movie, and he was just going to put his money into it and be like, "Oh, that was fun."
Yeah.
That was it, and it ended up being big. But he has taken so many risks on people that have paid off for him, and that's kind of my point. Is that you don't really know. Well, that's the point I was getting at. Is that you really don't know how they're going to work out, but they could work out.
Mhm.
And why not? Why not? Like for Mallrats, he had Ben Affleck, who had been in one movie before that one. I think 1 or 2 movies. wasn't a big actor. Put him in Mallrats, he became famous way like directly after that.
Hmm.
And then he did Good Will Hunting. Fucking Kevin Smith, not that he supported him. That was it. That was the only thing he did. Matt Damon and Ben Affleck did like all the script, all the legwork, went to the studios or whatever. But Kevin Smith basically went, "No, listen to him," and then that movie became what it was and skyrocketed both of them into who they are now. But but my point being is that if somebody wouldn't have taken a risk on Kevin Smith to at least look at it, if he wouldn't have taken a risk on Ben Affleck, if he wouldn't have put his name out there that he had just got some sort of recognition, most people would be like, "No, this is my shit. Go do your own. I don't want my name attached to anything because I'm good right now." But he did all that, and it was a risk, but also he made it because he understood and got it. I feel like there's not enough risk on. I said that when we were talking about movies. I feel like there's not enough risk in things. That people are very like, this will make me my shell.
And that's just what I was about to say is it's one of my pet peeves, if you will, is you go to a restaurant and you look around the restaurant and the people that are serving you and the people that are cooking, and this is exactly my pet peeve is what could they be doing if they really wanted to, you know? And you see people struggling to make ends meet, but what if they had an opportunity that, like you said, maybe there's a test or something I can be an engineer without an engineering degree, you know, because I've got the mindset for it. And that's what my pet peeve is. You just can't believe that there's somebody waiting tables that could be a genius that you don't know about. Well, or maybe they don't want to either. But.
Well, and I think Good Will Hunting was a good thing, but also
speaking of the janitor.
but I feel like people didn't take that serious. Like obviously the people that felt that way were like, fucking yeah. But I feel like most people were like, oh, that was a cute movie. Yeah. Like that was nice that happened to one person.
But I guarantee you it happens every day.
But yeah, I can almost guarantee you there are more people like that in the world than there are people that are just
there's some supervisor at a sausage plant that doesn't have a degree that thinks he could be so much more.
That's fair. No, but I was going back to what you were saying about what they could be doing if they like, and that's my point is that I have so much shit that I put time into, and I've attributed that to you. That I'm
sorry.
I'm no, not that I'm good enough at a lot of things.
Yeah.
So I'm able to kind of like do a whole bunch of shit.
Yeah.
But I have so much stuff that I put energy into, but I know it's not monetized right now, and it doesn't make me money, and so I have to kind of like find the time to do it. And this is the only thing, because this is easy for me. It's like 2 hours of just talking. I don't really have to think.
So you've inherited the bullshit.
I mean, pretty much. No. Like I do think about while we're talking. Like me and you are talking about this. I think.
Look at this nice 4-door over here, Pat. It's a nice lemon yellow.
Where we're going and what I want to say.
Family truckster.
low price. But
metallic P.
I think ahead, and I'm able to do this. It's just talking. I don't really have to like put a whole lot of effort into word choice and like how to put things together.
And I can say fuck what I want to.
Which also convenience of writing your own book. You can write it however you want.
That's true.
But the book thing, I've been working on for 5 years now, and it's so difficult to keep doing it because you have to actually set aside time. Yeah. Like I set aside time for this, but like I said, I can do this and I can run over here and I can talk to you and whatever.
But you get lost in the book world.
Yeah, because you're thinking, at least
you're not thinking I have to go back home. You're thinking.
Yeah. Well, at least, I don't know. At least
I got a train of thought. I need to keep going.
I don't know if everybody else who writes a book is like this, but my problem is I'm not thinking about the chapter I'm writing. I'm thinking 4 or 5 ahead. I'm thinking next book. I'm thinking like where this world has to go. So I have to kind of fit certain spots.
Do you outline it? Do you say, okay, this book is going to be 20 chapters, and like you said, okay, I know I need to start with the first chapter. I know I
I
got to
did
do,
that.
but then I can jump to number 5 because I want to do this, but then I still got to come back to number 2,
No,
and I got to.
I don't do it that way. I did outline it, which ended up changing. I did an exercise that I used to do when I was in theater.
Like jumping jacks?
That really worked for me as far as writing goes, where you did character development. When I was in theater before I started doing it with Martin when we were writing, when I was in theater in high school, they had this exercise that kind of stuck with me, where you do character development. Where you kind of make up a backstory of your character. Whether it's just to kind of get you in the headspace of who you're playing. And so when I first started doing this, book, because I started writing one before this that was just about me, so I really didn't have to because it was just my experiences. But when I started, I kind of wanted a basis of like, why are these people doing these things? Why are these traumas here? What happened in their life? Why is dad this way? Why is sister this way? Why is stuff like that? So that was the first thing I did, was I got all the characters that I wanted, got their names, which their names are funny, but which also has a basis for their names. Their names are a certain way because of their background. And I did character development. There's a whole outline of each character, where they grew up, how old they are in the book, blah, 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 stuff like that. But then, and I did that before I wrote anything. And then I did a rough kind of outline of like where I wanted to go. Because I had an idea of how I wanted the book to read, but that's about it. But I did the outline and I started writing it, and it ended up being like, I'm gonna move this here, I'm gonna move this here. But the chapter thing, I sat and thought about it a lot, because I wrote the first chapter and it was really long. And so I was like, I don't know if it can be this long. Like if the first chapter is this long, that means that every chapter after that has to be that long. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if the first chapter is like 4 pages and then chapter 2 is like a page and a half,
Yeah.
that just reads weird.
Yeah.
And so finally, I say that, but finally I was just like, it doesn't matter. I'll just write it the way I want it.
Yeah.
It's 1 page, it's 1 page. But
have you been listening?
no.
Do you think what he just said, if you were listening to what he just said, he would like the movie Sharper from last night? It has 5 people.
Doesn't have Cuba Gooding Jr.
No, but at the end, when it comes all the way back around at the end, this is cool,
Mm-hmm.
And as I said, it's about grifters. The movie's called Sharper, and it's about grifters, and one leads to another, leads to another, leads to another, and then it all comes back around.
It's kind of how I wrote. I got like 4 or 5 chapters now, which is nice in 5 years. So like once a year, that's nice.
A chapter, you're blazing.
I know. Cheryl keeps saying, I keep getting discouraged every now and then about how long it's taking me, and Cheryl keeps reminding me that J.K. Rowling didn't publish Harry Potter until she was like 35, and the dude that did Game of Thrones didn't do it until he was like in his 30s. She's like, so you're fine. You just turned 30, so you're fine. That doesn't, I don't know. But the way that I wrote it is kind of that way. I have like an overall arc of where I want it to be, and you kind of see. I feel like it's a smart way. It's a smart thing to do. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
I want to get a little.
Am I going to be alive when this is done?
I want to get well. That's what I was gonna say. I want to get a little further ahead before I give it to you, because I do want you to read it. But I did a whole story before the first chapter. There's an epilogue.
Yeah.
It'll throw you off when you get past the epilogue and then the first chapter, because it seems different, but it all ties into each other. And so I'm getting to a point where the chapter I'm on writing right now kind of is starting to get into that part. So you start seeing certain things that you're like, oh shit, like that makes sense.
Huh.
So that's cool. I like that.
Huh. But a
going-
chapter a year, huh?
Yeah. But going back to what you were saying before, though, it's difficult for me because I would love to do that. I've said this so many times. I would love to do this, to do podcasts and write all the time. It would be fucking. I would
Well,
love to do that.
Again, as we discussed throughout this, is you still got to keep your day job to fund this.
But that's
And then, no, hold on. So then, okay, you get there and you finally get the book done
Mhm.
and you publish the book and it becomes a hit, hopefully becomes a hit. And now you're a gazillionaire
Mhm.
and now you can go down that path.
Mhm.
But you still need the day job
But see, and that's
to keep you going.
And that's my problem is that I understand that part of it. It just makes it hard. I feel like if I won the lottery,
It's a struggle.
it really is. If I won the lottery and I didn't have to worry about bills and shit, I feel like I wouldn't live much different than I do right now. Like I wouldn't go buy a mansion or whatever. I would literally just use that money to do this.
Mhm.
I would be like, I would pay rent a year out. I would have X amount of dollars set aside for like utilities and shit, and then I would just do this all the time. And I would be totally content with doing it. I don't feel like I would get bored. I don't feel like I would be one of those people that would be like in a year be like, well, that was fun. Now what do I do now?
Yeah.
I'd be totally content doing this.
Hmm.
But it's difficult when you don't have that ability.
Yeah.
You're like,
I still got to do that work.
well, and the podcast thing especially, like the book, like I said when I first brought this up, the book thing is a lot harder because you have to set aside actual like alone time. Like it's not just like I didn't do it today because it was early in the morning, but like doing this with you, I can bring the kids over and they can do this. It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
But like working on the book, I need like
quiet time.
Yeah, and that's hard to get when you work 6 days a week and you only have one day off, and you're like, "Hey, I know I haven't seen you in a week, but like,
But I'd like to not see you some more.
But I would really like to be alone this
I'd like
weekend.
to not
really
see
cool.
you some more.
Oh, maybe it'll get done. Maybe you can brag about me one day, where you can be like, "Yeah, my son made this awesome book."
What are you trying to say? Are you feeling a little jealousy competition going on there or something?
No, not really. No, I tell people all the time. This might sound mean, but I've told her this, so she can get over it. But I've told my sister that I am very proud of what she's doing and the fact that she actually is still doing it. Because honestly, I didn't think she was going to. It didn't surprise me that she is able to be this close to being a doctor. It surprised me that she didn't take more time off. I thought that she would have gotten to a point where she's like, I need to stop.
I think if I know my daughter well enough, I think if she would have done that,
she wouldn't.
In fact, I think we did have that conversation that if I took a time off, I don't think I could restart. And so therefore I had to push myself to continue.
Which is good for her because like I know that that's scary for her. She's told me that it's scary for her to get to the end.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of like the Grand Canyon thing of like.
Well, I know, but I get what she's saying, what you're saying, but it doesn't really end. The schooling ends. But now you have to put your schooling in. It's not like you're living on a beach doing nothing now. No.
Waiting for that one call.
No, you're in, Phoenix, Arizona, working every day to do it. So it's not like,
No.
Why are we in Phoenix, Arizona?
I'm sorry. You're in Green Bay, Wisconsin.
What? When?
Madison. So 2 hours away, 2.5 hours away.
I don't want to go too far.
Yeah, I don't want you to live that close to me, but.
Well, no, I love it that she worked in Green Bay, but I just don't think.
I don't think that she would do well in Green Bay.
Well,
she would get frustrated.
I'm hoping. I hope I'm reading her right.
Mm.
That I pretty sure I told you this, but I know I drummed it in her head that my anesthesiologist was like, "Yeah, I don't live here for the weather.
Mhm.
Yeah, she makes a lot of
A lot
money.
of money.
Yeah, bank."
But no, I'm not jealous of my sister. I just there are different. Me and her talked about this. There are just different paths that I have said that I, in some ways, feel like my sister is smarter than I am, but I don't think I'm dumb by any means.
I don't.
It's just not. There are two different paths that me and her took. I didn't want. Could I have been a doctor? Probably.
Well, that's where
Do
I was going
want
to go.
To be one?
That's what I was going to
Probably
say,
not.
Zach. I would never say she's smarter than you.
I would.
I wouldn't. I wouldn't. And here's why. Does she have more drive than you do? I would say that, but I wouldn't say she's smarter than you.
I would say her ability. Me and her talked about that. I say her ability to retain certain things is a lot better.
Ooh, I know this is making this way too long.
Yeah.
But but I said to her too. I go, maybe you're getting too old.
Your memory's not as
Because no, it's serious. Because she used to be able to cram the night before, and now that is somewhat failing her, and she's got to figure out a way. And I go, there was a point in my life where I could do what you're doing.
Mhm.
But I got to I don't know what that age was, but I got to a certain point where, and your mom will attest to this, is, so what did you talk to Zach about today? And I go, I don't know. But in 2 days, I could tell you everything.
Mhm.
So it comes back, and I told her, I go, so maybe you need to stop the cramming thing and maybe go 2 or 3 days back and study, and then it'll hit you right when you need it.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
anywho. So, no, she's not smarter than you. She may have.
You're fine.
No.
You're good.
Oh yeah, we talked about that too. I'm gonna hug you and say, so. But there again, I'll tell you this too. I know you're getting old. You're 30 now.
I know.
But I will tell you what.
I'm just getting to a point where I'm over the whole working at Checkers bullshit.
But that's kind of where I was going with this is, there's the light bulb moment comes on. And, I'm pretty sure I was however old, 21, 22. And
you were the king of
I was happy being the king of glass. I was. But then the light bulb comes on and says, hey, I'm going to need more.
Mhm.
I'm going to need more than this is allowing me to have. And so that's where the drive started was, okay, well, not really, but the drive started back in baseball too. But that's where the light bulb comes on and says, I need more. And once you get that drive, it unfortunately doesn't stop. So your mom yells at Tiffany too, is step back. And I don't know that she can.
I have that, and me and you have talked about that. I have that with other things. I have that with this. Like, it bothers me not to do things. Not to do these. It's kind of why I get on you.
Well, why don't you just go hook up with Joe Rogan then and send him a text.
I don't know if I said this the last time we were talking. I know I've said it before when me and you have talked, but it just fucking blows my mind. Just it kind of the same thing as taking risks is that there was him and like 3 other people who started podcasts before they were a thing. Before Joe Rogan became
Mark Maron.
Mark Maron, yeah. And it was,
and everybody told him how stupid it was.
Yeah, everybody told him that it was a bad idea. Joe Rogan especially. He said he was going to do a podcast, and everybody he talked to. Granted, Joe Rogan at the time had the money to fucking redo an entire house for fucking podcasting.
Yeah.
But everybody told him it was a good idea. Nobody will ever listen. Nobody will ever want to talk. Nobody will ever want to listen to a 2-hour rant.
Yep.
Is what they told Joe Rogan. And Joe Rogan, Mark Maron, and Howard Stern. All at the same time. And they're the biggest that have ever done it. Kevin Smith too. Although he maintains that he was before Joe Rogan
Yeah.
because he did Smodcast before that,
Oh yeah, yeah.
but it wasn't as long. Now he does the 2.5 hour ones, but all of them. The Godfather's a podcast for what it's worth, and all we're told that it was never that nobody would ever listen to it. Nobody would ever want to listen to people talk, and I think that's so the risk thing that we were talking about. I think that's so dumb. Like, why? Looking back now, you got to be like, oh, well, I guess I was wrong. Because people do that.
Yeah.
And it's kind of what I remind myself about me wanting to do this. Is that yes, it is overly saturated because everybody's able to do this.
Yes.
We've talked about this before. It's so easy to do this.
Yep.
But that's kind of what I remind myself is that it's not really the platform; it's what you talk about. It's.
I was thinking of the Ghostbusters. So you're the one.
It's not really the platform; it's what you're talking about. And I would like to think, and weirdly enough, I have always just pushed through my podcast. Been like, it doesn't really matter. I've said that since the beginning. It doesn't matter if people listen to it. It's fun for me. I like talking to you. I like talking to people. I like talking to my wife a lot. Which is why I started doing it in the first place. But over the last year, I've had multiple people message me or Cheryl and be like, hey, I really like what you guys talked about. Hey, I was really, I was thinking about this too. And like, it doesn't reflect because there are no like comments like on social media or whatever, like on the Facebook page or whatever. But we have gotten messages, and it's kind of more encouraging than because it's like, okay, at least like obviously I can see, I have analytics, I can see how many people watch it, when they watched it, and where they're from. That's cool. I can see the country that people are from, whatever, stuff like that.
Why somebody in Belgium is listening to me, I don't know why.
2 people in other countries that listen to our podcast. I thought that was cool, but
they're trying to learn American language.
Wrong person to learn.
You say fuck a lot.
That's all you gotta say. But then people like every now and then.
What brings you to this job interview? Fuck, I don't know.
But then people will message us and like say like, I really appreciate it, stuff like that. That's just more encouraging. I'm like, okay,
so I had that moment.
It's not as much bullshit.
I had that moment. So
with yours?
we had some friends that we haven't seen in almost 10 years, maybe, right? And seen them a couple weekends ago when we were out, and gave her a hug and said, "Oh, nice to see you again," right? And she goes, "Yeah, I listen to your podcast all the time." And I went, "What?
You what? You what?"
And goes back to the Ghostbusters. So you're the one.
You're the one person. But and it's kind of why I don't know. I have things throughout my life that have been.
But that's I get that. That's the big encouraging thing is there is somebody out there
I've been discouraged by a lot of things with like things that I like doing. Like I've been discouraged with my book. I've been like, it's taking so fucking long to do that. And then I'll write something. I'm like, oh, that was good.
Yeah.
Oh, that was good. And then like with the podcast thing, I've gotten many times now. We're 2.5 years into this now. On mine, and there are times that I'm like, oh, should we even? Because we've missed so much, and that bothers me, and it discourages me when like we go 2 weeks or whatever without doing one, and I'm like, what's the point now? Like, and then somebody will do that. Somebody will message, we'll do one, and somebody will be like, hey, I really appreciate, I really like that one. I had one of Cheryl's friends, we did a whole episode about Scream, and they were like, I've never watched this movie before, but like you guys talking to me, like nice. You guys talking about this really makes me want to watch it, whatever. And I just thought that like stuff like that is just cool. I don't know, it's just encouraging for me to keep being like, okay. Even if it's one more, you know what I mean? Like even if I'm like, I'm not doing this anymore, okay, fine, I'll do one more. That's all I got.
That's all I got. How much time did we kill?
An hour.
No, that's not bad.
An hour. So.
That's not bad.
Hour and a half. Yeah.
So I don't have any beans and cornbread to wrap this up.
That's fine.
But
Do you have?
I keep encouraging people. Please contact me. Come on over. Or I'll come over to your
friend.
I can't tell you how much I believe that people have a story to tell that could relate to you, or
you want a song? I'm gonna throw.
Living in America.
No, I'm gonna throw a song in here because I don't know why this last week it hit me so hard, but everybody has a story type of thing.
Huh?
There's a song called country song. Hold on.
There's a song, but I don't know what it is.
Almost Home. Almost Home.
Huh? I got
By-
nothing.
Right? No, it's an old country song. Craig Morgan, I think, something like that. The way it's told is like a story. Like it's about this guy who's homeless on the side of the road, and somebody tries to wake him up, and he basically says like, "I was almost in heaven, and you woke me up."
Love that song.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, okay, so
Wow.
they go
So
through
she's the one.
they go through the whole thing though, and it's kind of like
That he used to be somebody and
Yeah.
he wasn't always like
Yeah.
this.
and to your point, there are a lot more people like that like work at a sausage factory but don't really want to work
There you go.
there.
There you
Which
go.
I think at some point,
But there's also, off your point though. So there's also someone like Brandon who could tell you what it's like to work on that line, and there are people that would be interested to go, "Oh, I never knew that's how my sausages were made." You know, seriously, there are people that would be, "Oh, wow."
it is a weird. I don't know if I would.
I figured there was meat you put in there, but
I
I
don't
thought it
know
was
if
just a machine that went and there's so much more to it than
I
that.
don't know if I would be completely honest about how your sausage is made, but it is interesting nonetheless. Though. I will admit that.
Mm.
But also to your point, I feel like there are people like Brandon off the sausage thing that have an opinion on things. If you can get them to talk, that have an opinion on things that a lot of people would feel the same.
You're right.
That doesn't get talked about.
You just and it's finding those people. Like I said, I thought I knew a guy, and he doesn't want to talk about it. You know, but that's the flip side of it is. But there are so many people that could benefit and say, "Yeah, that's just like me," or
I think people-
"Yeah, I'm interested in that."
And that's kind of the thing about. I mean, I talk with the same people all the time, so it's not really different for my podcast as a whole. But yours, I completely agree. Me and you had talked about this when you first had the idea for it. That I think that kind of brings us all. Goes back to my point in telling you and like encouraging you to do this in the first place is that we all go to bars, we all sit, we all learn about people, and it's knowing that that it's not just us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That like you can talk to somebody and they can tell you a story about them, and you'd be like, oh shit, like that kind of like I'm not the only one that this has happened to. You know what I mean?
Billy Currington.
Yeah. Yeah, no shit. I think about that all. I think about.
Did I ever say that almost happened to me?
I think about that song all the time. Somebody almost left you your entire fortune.
The whole song, up until him not leaving me the fortune, I had that. Ask your mom; she was sitting there with me.
So close.
So this is seriously. We're sitting, and when we were in Beloit, we were sitting at this bar, old crusty, white beard and everything, and we just hit it off, and we're sitting there
I'd
talking.
like to point out that you have a white beard now too.
Did I? Thought it was salt and pepper. But here's this old guy, and he was driving a truck of some sort, not like a big rig truck, but a truck back and forth from Chicago. And he goes, "Yeah, I just do this for entertainment, for something to do." He owned 3 buildings in Chicago. He has all this amount of money. I think he said he was divorced and had 2 or 3 kids, but they didn't. All they wanted him for was just for his money, and so he really did. And that song just started playing in my head,
And you're like, oh shit, it's gonna be me.
It was this, yeah. But then I stupidly, I think we left first. I don't think he did, but
maybe he was just looking for the right person, and you weren't the right.
And
person.
I walked away from the opportunity.
You could have been a millionaire right now.
I could have, but that was. it was so spot on to that. You know, we're talking about the waitresses going by. So it was awesome, but oh well. But I think, again, everybody has a story to tell, and they might not think it's important, but I guarantee you that there are other people going, yeah, he thinks just like I do. And yeah, it's good to know that other people are going through, for whatever reason, other people going through the same shit that I'm going through.
That's kind of how I feel about, not to keep
Beating a
pushing.
dead horse.
Yeah, but that's kind of how I feel about me and Cheryl doing our podcast, because I'm unapologetically, probably to a fault, very honest when it comes to, and with yours, with being on yours too, but especially with mine, I'm very unapologetic on what I say and how and what we talk about. And it's mainly because I want it to be honest. There are so many people that, like me and Cheryl, have talked about our relationship, like struggles that we have in our relationship and stuff, pretty openly on there. And it's because, like, I don't know. I hate people that are way too put together. I don't like it. Any couple that says
Because
they,
you know when you shut the door, there's something else going on.
I am probably hypocritical in this statement because, like, me and Cheryl really don't fight in the popular context of fighting. Like we have arguments, like we have yelled at each other, but we don't like get in screaming matches. We don't like I gotta leave. We don't do that. We haven't our whole relationship because we've had a dynamic of really kind of talking and understanding things. But I hate, again, the hypocritical statement. I hate relationships that are like, we never fight.
Yeah.
I think that's bullshit. You can't be, especially.
You mean like yours?
Especially, well, that's why I preface that. Especially long term, you can't tell me that you're never upset at your significant
No,
other.
and
That can't happen. And so that's why I'm very open about the things that we struggle with, but also because I feel like nobody talks about the things that couples struggle with. Like it's the extremes that get talked about. It's, well, he cheated on me. Well, okay, but like,
what got
why?
there?
Yeah. We all saw the Facebook post that you all loved each other.
If you could have
for 2
talked
years,
it
3
through,
years. Yeah.
you know. Excuse me. Yeah, not to again drag this out, but I'm humored because what your mom and I do is what we do.
Mhm.
And we argue in public and we'll fight in public. And people go, and Ra's a good one to go, yeah, I just don't want to hear it.
I know.
Okay, but that's how we do things, you know. It
And
might not be good for you, but there again, it might be good for Steve down the street, you know.
or it would be relatable, even if it's not a positive thing, and not to say that yours isn't, but and not necessarily it's a positive thing, but in a way of, well, I tried that and it didn't work for me. Where you bring that up goes, yeah, I can see that. I understand that, and it's more of a they can understand where you're coming from.
Yeah.
Rather than being like, I've been married 30-some years and life is great.
Yeah.
Nothing happened.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden she left me, and I don't know why.
I don't understand why. I thought I was great.
Yeah, I thought I was great.
Anyway, yeah, that's all I got.
Okay. Well, again, thank you for enjoying the podcast at John's Joint.
Yeah.
Again, I will implore anybody listening or watching to contact me and come on over, or I'll come over to your place and we'll talk about you.
Yeah. And until then, we'll keep talking to each other. So
could you shut that off for me? That would be great.
Turn
Thank
it
you.
off.